In today's episode, I'm going to explain why your motivation and commitment drop off and how you're going to get it back.
This is how legends are made.
Hi there guys, hope you're doing super well. I just came out of a coaching session and I wanted just to highlight one thing. It's a universal fact that I've kind of encountered so many times. It's about how we make decisions and actually committing to the things we want to achieve. We can often come up with reasons why we should do it, but those reasons sometimes fail us. We don't always follow through. Our motivation drops, our commitment drops off. And when we have coaching, what we're able to do is examine what's going on, why that's the issue, and actually find something that will drive the motivation and drive the commitment. And often the reason that we don't get overly motivated or commitment drops is because our reasons aren't very strong. They sound nice, they maybe have some of effect and would feel pleased about it, but they're not really getting the juices flowing where you're feeling really actually this is a major benefit. And through the coaching, what we do is look to find actually what's the thing that's going to really benefit you the most, what's going to really get you fired up to achieve these things. Ignore what you thought was the objective and what's going to make you feel good, but really what's behind that, what can really fuel the energy that you need to stay motivated, particularly when a task is slightly maybe uncomfortable. And this kind of came from a session, as I say, today, where the client was struggling to achieve a particular objective in their work. And what was interesting was that the objective was achievable. They knew the steps, they were following through on bits, but it wasn't consistent, it wasn't following through, and they weren't getting the results they were after. They were still lacking a purpose that really drove them to make sure it was a commitment, a kind of a must. They would absolutely need to do this. And it was interesting, we went through the session and a client can arrive and they have a very fixed way of seeing things, a generalized way of seeing things, and halfway through, if not even earlier than that, the great thing is they kind of take a moment and think and realize that this is the first time they've had a chance to reflect on their thought processes and reflect on how they're coming up with ideas. They've never been challenged to actually work out how they've got to where their ideas are, but that's what a coach like myself will bring to a session. We're able to actually challenge that. So, well, how did you get to that idea? According to whom? So with this client today, we were looking at why they weren't driving through on the motivation. They had some reasons, which were always a good thing to go and do, but it really wasn't the thing that was going to commit consistently. One of the areas they were having struggles with was delegation of their workload. They were hanging on to work a little bit too tightly and not releasing it to their team members until maybe too close to the deadline or having to take it on themselves. So whilst they knew they needed to delegate because that was giving them enough space to do other things, to be productive in other areas, it still wasn't happening. It still wasn't really finalizing. It wasn't a complete committed that's going to happen. So we explored it further, and whilst being productive was a nice thing, it was a pleasing thing to achieve, it wasn't firing up the client to finally commit and make it all happen. So through a series of questions, we actually excavated further back and realized a deeper, more poignant, more powerful motivation that was a stronger reason to actually finally commit. So we worked out that all this work, all this delegation would create productivity and some more options of time, but the main thing is would give her complete time to focus on something she was really passionate about in her work. And it was that became the engine, the fuel we would use. Because every time she struggled with a delegation, an email popped in and she had to decide which way it was going to go, she actually went back and said, actually, if I can delegate this immediately, that means I'm going to achieve this goal that I'm really passionate about. It's going to free me up time to achieve this. And when we began to think in this particular way, every time an email would come through, boom, does this take away time from the passion or does it add time for it? Became a faster, quicker decision maker for her and became, in a way, simplified because that's all it had to be. Rather than thinking 10 things about this particular email or the project that came through, all they needed to do was say, does this equal my passion? Does it achieve the passion or take away from the passion? That seemed to make such a holistic change in her that it was something I felt that didn't need more grounding in. She'd made the connection. She would have that question in her mind. Does this take away or does it add? Can I then delegate it super quickly because then that'll give me the benefit of the thing I really want to do? So her first idea was being productive. That was a nice reason, but it wasn't the one that was going to commit and make it a consistent change. Once we connect to the emotion, the thing that really you're going to get a benefit from, well, then you're able to really make a straight line to the goal you're after. And it becomes, I think, what they were saying, more effortless or easier or simpler, because that was what we did, simplified the question. And I find that is one of the biggest benefits behind having time with a counsellor or a coach, where we're asking us better questions than we've been hanging on to. And if you have a situation where you're thinking, why am I not motivated to follow through on this thing? It could be exercise, it could be work, it could be relationship issues. You have to find the emotion that really is going to drive you to do it. What's the benefit of achieving this thing that's difficult going to give you at an emotional level? What will it empower you to do in other parts of your life? Once we connect those 2 points together, then it becomes a straight line you can travel down. If you find that your reasons are a bit weak, aren't very strong, and you're not really being consistent, challenge yourself. Find out what would need to happen for you to really engineer the change you're after. Think about the emotion, get it geared up. Don't manufacture the emotion. Think about what it's going to give you. But translate this into your world in whatever way it works. Point being, grab onto the emotional content that's going to really drive it. And if you don't feel your goals or the reasons for doing it are strong enough, dig deeper, excavate further, find out the emotion that's going to really empower you. Once you're there, the commitment will flow a lot easier because it's a simplified decision process. So think about that. Think about when you are lacking the motivation or something. Work out the emotional factor that's missing for you, or the reason that's be super powerful for you to commit. And then try it out and see what happens. And as always, if you've got a question, send them over. I'll answer every single one of you. And that's it. I hope you got some value from it. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have, then please give it a like, a thumbs up, a comment. It would be great to hear from you. Other than that, have a fantastic day wherever you are.
This is how legends are made.